February 24th, 11:32 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. His poor face. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all the way while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh, you mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident. But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. Can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. The Sky was a witness? SL9 incident files received from Lana Sky. SL9 incident files. Files for Joe Dark killings. Saw 2 years ago. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now you've brought now I've brought you your stuff. You're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana! This SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No! No, Lana! That's over with! No! Emma, wait! She ran away. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Jake Marshall, Angel Star, Damon Kent, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. You better take a good look at this file. Yep, and we are going to be continuing just like that. Yeah, thought to end it off there, but when we saw Lana, but I guess this makes more sense. Well, this would have made more sense, but anyways, February 24th, 12:14 p.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. He's drinking in court. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner. Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering in the trails of civilization. occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? Desperado's soul is boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. Day of the crime. My job was to keep a wary eye on the bone orchid. Orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time to hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not good with machines or following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses, now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright. He's all yours. Alright. Here we go. We finally got Jake Marshall, and this is basically the latter half of the trial, so let's see what we could get out of this. So, let's see what looks interesting. Guess we'll do the first statement, why not? How exactly do you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That's no room so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, I'd do my best to be cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Well, the thing is, his fingerprints were there, so... Yep. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? Is you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime, and yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene, or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. Objection! I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the scene of the crime scene? The blood was wiped away, however. The luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall, it seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall, about the blood-stained fingerprints. Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints, found at the scene of the crime. Blood-stained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence locker, or evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there is room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Here we go. Bloodstained fingerprints. That's because you... No, that's because you... How did you put it? Pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Marshall's fingerprints updated in the court record. I mean, it was updated, so I feel like it being updated has to mean something. Or not. Okay, I think we might have clicked on the wrong thing then. Or not. Oh my god, I freaking hate being sick. I think we weren't supposed to present anything then. Oh. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, though thought to have been left by the murderer. That's right. It was found in Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, there are no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh, yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on the top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. Security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Let's press this. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But the video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth and the ground isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. Objection! We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Very well. Allow me to point your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might end up with being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Oh, this time we're actually I guess that, like, the first time examining through the video, they wanted to give us like a little bit of a chance. Now there's an actual risk. Actually, I do want to see the floor plans too. It's again going through this unsettlingness. Wait. He could be hiding behind here now that I think about it. Yeah, he probably went through one and was going... Makes sense. Oh, this. Okay, yeah, that he did say it was his locker, so... Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. These days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. Was that the witnesses, I believe? Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. I do wish the video rewind faster than that. And there's no cloth there, though. Oh, the white cloth is gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! Order! It would seem that this is Hold your horses, partner. But you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. That's not my fault. We happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only one who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. Yeah, the assigned prints. I guess we present the evidence locker. Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olay! Please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out the rest from here. We can? Have a look at the floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. The Officer Meekins didn't seem Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Oh boy. Well, he was... Officer Marshall was standing right here! There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. Objection! But that's preposterous! Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified that the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes? And how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized that the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say up to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. We're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What do I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall and you have no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then after the crime was committed, he opened his locker for some unknown reason. The fact that there was a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video's my only shot. Very well. Let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show it. Okay, it just immediately cuts to it again. Alright, we're gonna fast forward once again. That does seem like very noticeable because like the blood wasn't there beforehand. Yeah.
Take that!
For some reason, you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman, and you entered the evidence room, though I don't know what to know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, wouldn't we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. All right. It seems the time has come. Marshall's confession. Here we go. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand there and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you? But there's one thing I still don't understand. The traces of large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. Wait, why did I use Edward's voice there? My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. Here we go. Alright, let's see. So when you say it was you, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident 2 years ago have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only the case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. Officer Marshall was in charge of that investigation. He wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I... Why'd you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like the Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security system. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why the Goodman started filing out a lost item report. I returned his ID card. Left it... Excuse me, oh my god. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open the locker yourself. But you couldn't, because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Let's see this. So you did your research beforehand? Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in struggle with Miss Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. Let's see. What to do? I guess we'll press. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates crime took place. What, are you blind? The victim's shown that the tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What, Mr. Edgeworth? Where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty? Someone else stole the evidence. I had a feeling he'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files. Oh, fuck! I did not mean to do that. Okay, we could still look at it here, so let's check it out. Closed. Perpetrator Joe Dark. Crime, serial murders. Sentence, death. Victims Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses Lana Skye and Emma Skye. Executive investigators Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Head investigators Bruce Goodman. Investigators Jake Marshall, Angel Starr. Okay, so let's just skip through this again. Take out the evidence I wasn't expecting, officer. Let's ask about this. So you did your research beforehand? Those who go down in the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would be much of a difference, though. The security tape... Oh, wait. We already did this, too. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think more about his raise this year. Where did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me, and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and... Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. Can't just forget SL9. You know why. But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in this evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about what turned out. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is? I feel we'd better wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files. Investigators Jake Marshall, Angel Starr. I guess it makes sense to present this SL9 files? Yep. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago? He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award? Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gatt, the then deputy of chief police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. And that was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. Was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed, at least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on in the police department. Chance? It's got to be more than just that. If no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye.
Objection!
But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Objection!
Which is why we examined the incident of the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There was yet remained the mystery of the simultaneously murder of the murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Ugh! I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, time for the verdict has arrived. The court defines the defendant. Your Honor! Wait! Emma! The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, Wright? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for your minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I do not want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was in kind of in a shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings? Now that she mentions it, the name of both Sky Sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day? So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint. You mean traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker, but no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright. You're a professional. If you could save Lana, it's you. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me. Oh, boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I needed to concentrate, it's now. What exactly could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? I mean, could there be something I'm missing?
Objection!
The handprint left on the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at the floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at the floor plans. There is something missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn out on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray that the defense simply isn't buying time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all the evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, what item can prove the missing something is missing the floor plans? I mean, didn't show all of it, so like, would it be the evidence for plans? I don't want to get a penalty. I think there wasn't. No, there is no penalty. Oh, wait! Wait.
Take that!
What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please take a look at the floor plans at the scene of the crime. The Blue Badger's not here. So, watch what happens when you put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right, so as long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it'd be impossible to place a handprint at the spot of the locker. What? So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done! What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on the locker? Don't look at me! What? I didn't put that there. Okay, I was just looking at the screen real quick, the other screen. I'm looking at for my recordings. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it here, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that means that this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in? Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On the 21st, February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice! But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, which was trivial to the amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the blocker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in the evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did the first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place? There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? Please show us when the first crime took place. I think I easily know this one, because the ID card has 4 spots filled out except for one. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel in the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah! Ah! Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it could have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that the blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murder. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's take a look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 77777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there is no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murder. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose number is 77777777. That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to acquire such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous! Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? Not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Look, Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number, and it's not 777777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say you did it? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why don't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get what the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No! No! Order! Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day.